Bible reading is from Exodus chapter 35 and 36, the last 5 verses of Exodus 35 and the first 5 verses of 66. Please ignore that 45 there. It's not 30 to 45, it's 30 to 35. That's the typo. And essentially, what that passage says is certain individuals were selected to carry out the construction work for the sanctuary. And those individuals who were selected had the Spirit of God, they had knowledge, they had understanding, they had wisdom. And the version I read says they had all types of skills. That's what one of the things I'm going to be picking out on, skills. Obviously, all of this underlain by the presence of God, the Spirit of God. So I'll be giving a talk today that I've titled, next slide please. Technical? Next slide please, yeah. So I've given a talk I've titled Tips for Success in the Workplace. So I'm going to be talking about, it's really going to be workplace related. I know that the real topic, well, a hot topic that I would have loved is something to do with business and investment. Someone even talked about mortgage and rents. Hopefully, and my hope actually is that this kind of talks will have more of this kind of forums where we can talk more, discuss more hot and interesting subjects. But in the absence of any of that, I came up with this topic, tips for success in the workplace. A brief introduction of myself. Agogo Ekurute is my name. Some of you have heard Pastor refer to me as Dr. Agogo. It's not Agogo, it's Agogo. That's accent, and I'll touch on that somewhere down the line. That's not it's Agogo. um, and yes, just to be clear, I'm not a medical doctor. People have come to me from church thinking I'm a medical doctor. No, I'm a PhD doctor, not medical. I'm actually an environmental consultant. I've been in this industry for some years now. Have a PhD. So I've worked in academia, done some part-time lecturing, worked as a research assistant, but in the industry, more of my experience is there than in academia. But I have a fair bit of that. So I'm putting all that together, to discuss this topic. So that's a bit about me. Next slide, please. So can you see is it clear? Does it need to be dark or is it clear? I think it might be better if it's dark, eh? Sir, is that what you're coming to do? Okay, let's see if that helps. Feel free to stop me at any point in time if you have any questions, if you have anything. So can you see the screen clear, yeah? Okay. So the inspiration for this talk was mostly led by the story pastor about his experience, and I'm sure we've heard this story several times now, how when he came into this country, he started out as a care worker, and by virtue of this kind of environment, men's program or part of the men's group in church, he learned about the opportunity to be a supply teacher. So he moved up, and then eventually he's come to become a mental health practitioner. So he's a highly skilled professional in a niche sector. And the point here is, in fact, this is the intention of this talk, really, to inspire and to, usher in that thought, that thinking, that mindset of progressing from wherever you are, whatever you're doing right now, to a highly skilled or to a more paying role. People talk about, I'll use care work as an example. One key point that I need to really emphasize here is this. There are lots of opportunities in this country, lots of opportunities. So look at something like care work, which some people trivialize. Some years ago, 2017, I met a young lady who told me she used to be a care worker, African. She came was from Zimbabwe. She used to be a care worker, but at the time I met her, she was now someone who supplies care workers to care homes. She had moved up the ladder. And there are people who started out as care workers and now have care homes. They own care homes. And if you guys have been following the news or following what's been going on in the last 4 years, owners of care homes have made loads of money. So care work is not necessarily the opportunities is the point I'm making. I know somebody else who came in here doing his master's program and he was working as a doorman. But he moved on to a point where he was now supplying people to do stand at the door for facilities, for venues. He then later on added onto his badge the role of a safety practitioner. So that's an advancement. And that's the kind of talk that we're really trying to usher, or that's the kind of mindset I'm really trying to usher with this talk. Obviously, some of us are already highly skilled professionals, maybe engineers, doctors. The point is, there is still room to grow and advance in your career. So that's really the essence of this talk. Next slide, please. So before I go on, I think one of the most important, maybe not most important, speaking as a scientist, that should be as accurate as possible. So I won't say the most important, but very important, a valid driver's license. So for those of us who are here and those who are online, the question I'm going to ask you is, have you got a valid driver's license? Now, in the workplace, I've been in situations where I've seen where having a valid driver's license was the final deciding factor between two candidates, having a valid driver's license. And some of you might say, those who don't have one yet, your argument might be, I don't need a car, or I don't have money to buy a car, so I don't really need one right now, or I'm postponing it for now. No, because there are jobs out there that are willing to give you a car. They'll give you a car. Some of the nice cars I've driven in this country was company that gave it to me to drive. So they are don't that should not be an excuse not to have a valid driver's license. In many cases, jobs will tell you a valid driver's license is required, is a prerequisite for this role. And apart from that, it gives you mobility so that you can do other jobs. Those of you who are doing locums, who are doing contracting, moving from one place to the other, having a car can be very useful. So a driver's license actually is very, very crucial. The other benefit of a driver's license outside of the workplace is that once you have a valid driver's license, you can choose not to buy your car, but when you eventually want to get your car, so say for example, you've been in this country since 2019, 2018. If you got your valid driver's license then, and you weren't driving, and then in 2024 you want to get a car, once you get your car, you get a insurance, right? Now, someone who has gotten his own, who's going for an insurance in 2024, he got his valid driver's license in 2024, he's likely to have a higher insurance premium than you who has a driver's license since 2019 or 2018, even though you weren't driving. So that's another reason why you need to have a driver's license, please. So I want to urge anyone who doesn't have one here to go and get a valid driver's license as soon as you can. Now, what's the process? You get your provisional driver's license. That's the first thing. Simple. Just go online, type, put a photo, whatever, send to DVLA. In a week or 2 weeks' time, they send you your provisional driver's license. Right? How many of us have a provisional? You don't have a full driver's license, but you have a provisional license. Okay, nice. The next thing is a theory test. I always urge anyone I know, go and do your theory as soon as you can. Just book it. And sometimes you find that it's a case of first come, first serve. There's no booking, no available dates. So book as soon as you can, please. Get a theory test done, and then go on to do your practical test. Please. It's very, very valid. I want to urge, and for those of us who don't have, I don't want to ask because we're on camera now, but what I'll be doing now to everybody, when I'm shaking you and greeting you, I'll be asking you, have you gotten your full driver's license? It's valuable, trust me. It's valuable. Don't procrastinate it. You may say, I don't have money. Just try and get it as soon as possible. It will come in handy. From the workplace perspective, very valuable. But even outside of the workplace perspective, it's very valuable as well. Okay, the other thing is you might say, oh, my husband drives, so I don't need for the sisters and for the brothers, or my wife drives, so I don't need. No. It's very, very beneficial. Yeah? I hope I've spurred and created some kind of, I've encouraged somebody here to go and get one. Okay, that's nice. Next slide, please. Okay, so let's just jump into it. I'm going to have to just rush through because there's really no time. CVs. Now, some of us are going to say, well, I know about CVs already. I'm well experienced in it. Yes, you are. But please just take 1 or 2 notes because it might be useful. So the key point for me here will be quality CVs. I'll tell you a story. In 2015, when I was running up my program, a colleague of mine who was also in our research group, he was ahead of me anyways. He applied for a job and he got it. International company based in UK, 40K. So I quickly went threw my CV out. And as God will have it, some days later, I got a call from a recruiting agent. Spoke with me, asked me some technical questions, answered them, and then we got to salary expectations. And I told him, because I had info that my friend has already gotten a job around. So I said 40K. And the guy said something to me that stuck with me. He said, I would suggest that you go for a lower pay. My suggestion is go for a lower pay. Get a job, get about 3 to 4 years experience, and then leverage on your qualifications for accelerated growth in the workplace. I wasn't happy with that advice at all. Some days later, my friend who got that job sent me his CV. Then I looked at his CV and I looked at my CV. And I could see why anybody would take that person's CV and value him more than me. One of the key things about his CV was he had industry-specific skills, industry-specific experience. So one of the things I actually want to hammer on about CVs is, let me just take a step back. See, the recruitment industry is a big business. Big business. There are people who have made, it's a multi-billion-dollar industry. There are a lot of people whose daily food is from finding. So I've overseen recruitment roles in different companies I've been in. And I've had to go to recruiters. I'm looking for XYZ. We just contract that job to them. And they have their cuts, their percentage. It is broken down. They make money from it. So it's a big market. So the first point is, it's like a job on its own. Looking for a job is a job on its own. So you have to have the patience. You have to spend time looking for a job. You also have to be strategic about how you look for your jobs. So how do you build a quality CV? What I learned is, when I'm applying for a job, I get the job specification, the job ad. I get that job advert, and I look at the person's specification. Because usually a lot of job adverts have some of this information. Some are vague. Maybe for senior roles, they may not be as specific as they want, but some will be specific. They tell you we want a person with such and such and such abilities, capacities. So what I normally do is, I take the job ad, I look for key specific terms, vocabularies that are unique to that industry, to that sector, adapt it into my CV. What I also do is, I Google for similar roles, because that particular job may not have all the information about the role. So I Google and I look for others, and I get as much information as I can, so that when I put all that on my CV, it looks heavy. Now, what these recruiters do is, because they get a lot of applications. I mean, one time I put out this and I got like, how many? From someone from Oman, Middle East, applied for. I don't have time for that. So if my company has the money to pay for it, we just contract that to recruiters. Okay. So the point I was making is, because they get a lot of CVs, what they do is they have specialized softwares that screen CVs at the first stage. They don't have time to be looking at it manually. So they have specialized softwares that screen those CVs, that look for key terms. So that's the first screening stage. Once they've done that, then they can now do their manual screening to identify specific candidates they want to put forward. For the recruiters, they make money if their candidates are successful. So they are very, very particular about getting the right or well-qualified candidates, putting them forward. So this is the key point about quality CVs. I've actually hit on the 3 points already. So keep checking, keep looking. In fact, let me tell you a story about, we've got CVs and we've got job interviews. Let me tell you a story quick. I'll come to that story in the next slide. So build a quality CV. The other quick point is this. Now, what I do, or what I used to do, and it may work for you, it may not work for you, but it's something to bear in mind. I don't put my CV on these job sites, CV library and all that. I don't put it. The reason is because, especially at certain levels in your career, you want to be able to customize your CV. If you have a generic CV, a recruiter might see it and might screen you out for a role that you would actually have been able to go for. So me personally, I don't put my CV on that. I look out for jobs, and when I find one, I adapt my CV accordingly and then throw my CV out. And it works. Oftentimes I get, obviously, it's one stage to be able to make claims on your CV. It's another thing to be able to defend when you come to the interview stage. But that's the point about CVs, really. I want to rush through because of time. So next slide, please. Okay, so you've put your CV out. You've now been called up for an interview. At any point, if you have any questions, if you have anything to say, please, like we said, it's going to be an interactive. We want to try and make it an interactive session. Now you've put out your CV. You've been called up for an interview. At the interview stage, there are several things you're looking for, but the key three ones you're usually looking for, and I'm speaking from experience now, I've been on both sides of the interview table, is technical knowledge. Now, that one is like objective. It's either you know it or you don't know it. So, no need to overstress that. Communication skills, and the last one is that I've just listed in this. There's more, but these are the key ones for me. Personality. I'll talk about personality and I'll end with communication skills. Not end the talk, end this slide with communication skills. So personality. Now we have that. The average Nigerian has personality. When we enter into, we have presence, you know. Igbo people like that. Presence. If you come into a room with presence, particularly positivity. So as simple as having a smile, I'll tell you a story. Two stories, actually. The first one. So the first job I got in this country, like outside academia, was as a sales consultant. How did I get that job? I was in Derby at the train station with my friends. We had just went to have fun somewhere. On our way back at the train station, I saw this young man wearing suits, typing on his BlackBerry phone. That was when BlackBerry was reigning, 2010. So I went to the guy and started a conversation with him. Just friendly. I had no intentions, nothing, because I was working then. I was working as a research assistant at the university. Chatting with him, we chatted about football, Manchester United, Arsenal. We chatted about Nigeria, chatted about the weather. And then our train came. We were all heading towards Leicester. Got into the train, and some minutes later, he came to me, and he said, "Hi, AG." I used to introduce myself as AG. "Hi, AG. This is my card. I'm a manager at a company called Phones for You. It's now folded up. I think you make a good sales consultant. I know you said you work in university, but you can make a lot more money. If you're interested, call this number and they'll give you an interview." That was the first job I got in this country. The first interview I went for in this country. I just got it by talking to someone at the train station. So he gave me the card, and I called, and they called me up for the interview. Got to the place for the interview. There was a group of people, about 20 to 30 of us, all seated. So they asked us, the first stage of the interview was, introduce yourself in 5 minutes' time. In 5 minutes' time. Now take note of that, because I'll come to another point about structured, timed speech. So introduce yourself in 5 minutes. The first person introduced himself, second person introduced. I was like the seventh or the eighth person. I stood up, and then what I did was, "Hello, hello, hello, hello." And I went around the room, shook everybody. And then I came out and said, "My name is Agogo. My friends call me AG because I'm an amazing guy, and blah, 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 blah. I'm from Nigeria, came last year, did my master's, blah, blah, blah." Rounded up. My introduction became the reference point. Every other person stood up and said, "Well, I'm not going to beat that introduction. This is who I am, blah, blah, blah." The other person came and said, "I wish I had thought of that." you know? And just by that introduction alone, I was moved up, and the people who were interviewing me were the top managers, the regional manager for that outfit. So that's one example. And I'm just trying to underline the importance of having personality when you're at the interview stage. Personality, another key point. Now, communication skills. I'll marry this point about personality with one of the points I made for communication. For communication skills, and I'm talking specifically about verbal communication now. Let me quickly say this. As you progress, or if you want to progress in this part, in this environment that we are, communication skills crucial. You get to a point where most of what you're doing is mainly emails, meetings, emails, meetings. You're delegating other things to others, emails, meetings, and people sort you by the how you present yourself on emails and how you present at meetings. So, anyways, verbal. So there's also written communication, but for the interview stage, it's mostly verbal, right? Where you're one-on-one having conversations. I have grouped it into the art of communication and the science of communication. As per the art, and this is just my own grouping, really. As per the art, yes, on one hand, we're good because it's aligned to what I describe as personality. We have confidence. We can talk. We're not afraid to talk when it comes to talking. Naturally, compared to people from other backgrounds. Am I right in saying that, by the way? That's not a false assumption, right? Okay, so we're good at that. Where we may have issues, accent. So on. Pastor has said this a couple of times. This thing is true. I'll give you two examples. What was the first one again? Give you the second one. In my current place of work, I was managing a team, and there's this guy. So it's a multidisciplinary team. One of these guys is a planner, Indian. He's from, wasn't born here. Okay? I didn't know why members of my team didn't like talking to him. I felt, me, I'm not like them. So I felt a bit empathic towards this individual, some sympathy. So I tried to go close to him because he actually noticed that of all the people within the team, I'm the person that he can come to. So he likes coming to me. But when he comes to me to talk to me, to ask me questions or to try to address issues, we spend ages because I keep asking him, can you repeat yourself? Say it again. Struggling seriously, So that's one example. Now, obviously, you can ask the question, how did he manage to get the job in the first place? I don't know. But the point is, someone like that, you're struggling already. You're struggling because it can actually affect your morale. It can also affect, people listen to feedback. People, this person, I like working with this person, or I don't like working with this person. There are people who have been moved away from a team because of the impression other team members have said about them. So that's one point. Now, I remember the other scenario I was going to paint. So when I was doing my master's program, it was a class of people from different international backgrounds. This was in Germany. Different international backgrounds, but there was three of us who was from Nigeria. I would ask questions in the class, and this was English taught. I would ask questions, and my lecturer would say, repeat yourself. Say it again. But I noticed that when my fellow Nigerian friends were asking questions, they don't ask, it doesn't ask them to. So I now realize, okay, when they are speaking, excuse me, sir. Sir. Okay. No, this accent thing is important. I'm not telling you that you should forget who you are. And in fact, sometimes you may not need to do too much of anything. But the key point here is you have to be conscious, be aware. When you're communicating verbally, be aware and be intentional. So we tend to talk very fast. We tend to speak loud. Be conscious when you're in the workplace or when you're at an interview. Calm, slow, bite your words, enunciate. And if you can put a bit of a spin to the way you talk. Hello, good morning. My name is Agogo Ikuruke. I come from Nigeria. I've been here for 5 years. Slowly. Practice is very important. What I tell my friends, I say what we need to learn to start doing in our small friend groups, as much as possible. I'm not saying don't speak Yoruba, don't speak Igbo, don't speak Hausa. I'm not saying don't speak broken English, because I do it when I'm with my friends. But let's be a bit more conscious now that we're in a different environment, and communication is very crucial. So you've got to start spending less time or being mindful the way you talk, because that's how you learn it. You have to learn it. Look at your kids, for example. Some of you who have come here, your kids were born in Nigeria, or in a space of, because they are talking with people outside. But because we are very tribal. By tribal I mean now who I know, now I go follow stay. So you are speaking the broken English and you're not getting opportunities to actually develop your verbal communication. So accent is very, very important. Obviously, the tone of your voice. Don't come. I went to the GP many years ago. Went to the GP and I was trying to ask for same day appointment, and the lady told me we don't have anyone for you today. And I said, I'm really in pain right now. Not like this, oh, in pain right now. Said, "Oh, you're being aggressive. You're being aggressive." Went to a shop with my friend. My friend was buying me coffee or tea or Ibo. So we got there. So she made her request. The lady asked me, "What do you want?" And I said, "Cappuccino, please." No, cappuccino. My friend turned to me and said, "Don't be rude. Say please." These things, these people take it seriously. So be very careful and learn. Be intentional about your communication. So when you're at the interview, I'll come to the science now of communication. The science of communication. Rapport building. Rapport building. So you go to an interview. You are the one interviewing me. Your name is Mark. And you're interviewing me. You ask me, tell me about yourself. Tell me about yourself, right? Thank you for that question, Mark. My name is Agogo Ikuruke. I was born in Nigeria, lived all my life in Nigeria. I came here 5 years ago. Blah, 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 blah. And so you see, Mark, this is the reason why I feel that I'm suited for this role. There's a lot I can bring to the business. I'm also happy to learn from you, Mark. Looking at your profile, you see what I'm doing? I'm calling his name. I'm building, I'm getting, and these people take this very seriously. Now, for those of you who were in church the day when the medical team came and discussed that the issue about the exercises, if you notice the way they were responding, calling this, you know, this thing, this you might think it's trivial, but it's not. A lot of times where we struggle, we have the technical background, we have the technical skills, we have the hard skills, it's the soft skills. And as you rise into leadership positions, you begin to realize that it is the soft skills that trump technical skills at a point. Some point. So that's the point. I can't, again, because of time, I can't. I wish I could spend time discussing this properly. Timed speech. This is something we struggle with. Timed speech. And we know this. The first time, this is the way I'll explain this one. The first time a Igbo pastor came to my church, I was like, what, maybe 10 or 12 years then in Nigeria. And he said, I will preach and round up in 15 minutes. I said, look at this one. We know this thing. That pastor will say, I'm rounding up. 30 minutes later, the man came. I set my time. I think the watch we had then, they call it G-Shock. How many of you know G-Shock? Good. I set my G-Shock. I set it. The guy now said, and do you know what? That's one of the few sermons I remember in my life. The title of the sermon was Remember Lot's Wife. Anyways, so he was preaching. I was so interested in the sermon. And then he got to the point, he said, and now I'll be rounding up. I checked my time. It was 14 minutes and some seconds. Sorry, I'm using preaching. Or I'm not, but it's something we all need to. It's something we all need. We have, we don't have that culture of timed speech. How do you do that? You practice. You practice. You're going for an interview. Practice your. That's something we don't really do enough of. Call your wife if you're married. Call your friend. Sit down. I want to practice. Practice. This is what I'm going to say. This is how I will say it. Go online. Look at people. There are a lot of materials online that teaches how to prepare, how to talk, what to say at an interview. So communication is one of the key things they are rating, they're scoring you on. Technical skills. The reason why communication is very important is because the team, they want to build a team. We come from a place where we look at individuals. Here it is institutions. Institutions, and that's where systems and processes come into play, and I'll talk about that later. Okay, let me move on to the next. Body language, sorry because of time, but I hope that at least what I'm saying here is kind of encouraging thoughts or spending more time thinking more carefully how we approach the workplace. Okay, next slide, please. Yeah, thank you very much. So, reasons for not getting the job. Reasons for not getting the job. Now, oftentimes, you've probably heard it, I didn't get the job, they didn't like me, because I'm black, because I'm yellow, they didn't like me. See, sometimes you can perform well at an interview. You didn't get the job because, one, they have a preferred candidate. There's somebody already there. They are just required to do equal opportunity. That's it. So I've been in a situation where the job was mine. I knew it was my job. I saw the people who were coming to sit down for interview. In fact, rain was falling. One entered rain. I was feeling sorry for the person. But that's how it is. There was a job I applied for. When I applied for the job, these guys, we had done some work for them while I was in academia. So they would know me, or they would know the research group I worked in. And I thought, this is a job I can do easily, and they will want me. So I applied for it. And then they called me some few days later for an interview. I called someone I referred to as, he's a senior colleague. I told him, he knows a lot more than me, a lot more experience. So I told him I was applying for a job. This is the job. He said, I'm also applying for that job. I said, if this my senior boss is applying for this job, that means I can't get it. He wasn't invited for the interview. I went for the interview. In all fairness, I didn't do very well at the interview. Months later, I was looking through one of our professional magazines, and I saw a lady, and I saw her name, her title, and the company she works for. It was the same company that I applied for. And the title was for the role was the same role I applied for. So I looked up her profile. The lady has been working in that company for years. She just moved from one position to the next position. So sometimes you can actually perform well at an interview, but they already have a preferred candidate. I'll tell you what to do. Okay, that point. And then the next point is there was a better candidate. Sometimes it's just the case. You did very well. You scored 85, but someone scored 95. It happens. In 2011, I applied for a research position, a very well-funded research position, Marie Curie/EU funded, based in Germany. Very well-funded, very good. There was 3 of us who were shortlisted for the final phase of the interview. One from Poland, myself, and one from South Africa. They had said at the advert, women are encouraged to apply. The person from Poland was a woman. So, did my interview. Interview was good. It was good. Did well. Ended it. Spoke small German for them. To tell them, because, basically, my master's degree program, I did it in 3 different countries. In Germany, University of Applied Sciences in Germany, MD in Germany, did a bit in Denmark, and a bit in UK. So I told them, I've been in Germany. I know Germany. And the research was supposed to be one of these top research institutions in Germany. So I put all that in there, and it was very, very good interview, actually. Eventually, some weeks later, I got, that email. Thank you for your listening. Unfortunately, we regret, But the person who emailed me was actually the professor himself, the head of the institute, who was there at the interview. And he was really nice to me, and he tried to encourage me. So what I did, I sold my background. I'm from Nigeria. I come from so I'm from Niger Delta. I'm Urobo from Delta State, oil and gas degradation. I'm an environmental consultant. I'm in the environmental profession. So I sold all that to them. So he came back to me by email saying, listen, don't let anything kill your dreams. Keep on being ambitious. So anyways, I didn't get the job. The good thing about these people compared to where we come from is that they are transparent. So I went to the website and I saw that it was a lady who was successful. It was the woman. The first thought that crossed my mind was, they said women are encouraged to apply. So I was better than her. It was because I'm a man, I'm not a woman. But thankfully, I looked up her profile. And what did I find out when I looked up her profile? She had 2 publications. Master's degree, but 2 publications. I didn't have any publication at the time. One of her publications, which was her master's project, was more aligned to the research topic than mine. So I was good, but she was better. And that's the point. Now, just on a side note, on the point about transparency, let's appreciate good thing when we see it. I did my PhD. I hustled for funding from Nigeria. We have NGDC, we have PTDF. I didn't get any. We went. They invited me for both. For PTDF, they invited me for interview. The professors I sat down with didn't even know much about the catalysis and kinetics, and they didn't know much. I left, and we didn't hear anything. No information, nothing. Our names were published. Those who have been invited for this interview, it was published on national papers, national dailies. We went for the thing. After that, nothing. Nothing. The next thing we just saw people coming to UK PTDF fund. Let me not go into that one. I'm on camera now. Okay. So the point is, over here there's transparency, and so you can tell. Sometimes you perform well, but there was probably someone better. Now, obviously, the alternative is you didn't perform well enough. So what do? Very important. Request for feedback. Oftentimes, you will get feedback. Oftentimes. And it depends on your rapport building. In fact, there was some guys that interviewed me, Oxford University, some years ago. We had such a nice rapport. The guy, he supplied me with a page of feedback. Because what I do at interviews is I say, I'd like to ask specially, please, regardless of the outcome of this interview, I'd like to get some feedback. The guy assured me, and he actually followed up on his commitment. He sent me, and he told me, listen, you were good. We just found somebody who was better, who actually has more insight into this work we're trying to, because it was a startup company funded by Oxford University, research from Oxford University, startup company. So they needed some support on field assessments. So this guy who the candidate who they had gone for had a bit more field experience than myself. So he gave me feedback and others. Something else I do at interviews, which I think will be very helpful, is this. So you ask the question, for example, so tell me the regulation, tell me the legislation that supports XYZ kind of work. And I don't know it. So I go, would that be the ABC legislation? I haven't said ABC legislation. I've asked the question, will that be? So I've asked you a question back, and you have to answer that question. Is that a yes or a no? No, it's not. So which is it then? You've asked me a question, I don't have the answer. I've asked you back. You're going to tell me. You have to tell me. And they tell me. So what happens is this. The next interview I go to, if they mistakenly ask me that question, I will tell them. I won't even wait in some cases for them to ask me the question. As I'm talking, I just enter this thing. And what is, you've actually answered the question I was going to ask you down the line. You get? So that's something to actually, so feedback is very important. Make sure you ask for feedback whenever you go for interviews. If you build good rapport with them, if you're able to build that good rapport with them, you will get feedback. Maybe not, let me say 7 out of 10. You're likely to get the feedback, and it's very, very helpful. The next point is reflect and review. Excuse me. Rather than say to yourself, they didn't take me because of X, Y, Z. Reflect on your own performance. What I do, some of the interviews I've done it online, and I guess I don't know how it works now, but depending, I don't know, but you probably still have online interviews. If If that's the case, record. If you can record it, record it. Obviously, okay, record it. The reason I'm suggesting that is because you can play it back and listen to yourself. Look at how you sounded, how you came across, the answers you gave. It's also good for evaluating your performance and seeing if you can improve yourself. So reflect and review. Look for ways to improve and keep on applying. Let me hammer this point a bit. Keep on applying. Tell you a story. I took a job. Okay, I did an interview. They offered me a salary that I was not very happy with, and it was an international company. I was not happy with them, so I went back and said, "No, I think I deserve more than this. So give me more." They came back later and said, "No, we're sticking with this salary I'm offering you." So what I did was, I was so angry. The next two, the ne- okay, go on. Yeah. The next two interviews I went to, I just told them from the onset, listen, no, I've told your HR guys already, this is the salary I'm looking for this particular role, if you want me to come on. Anyways, my friends were telling me, just take it. Start there, take it. And yes, sometimes that's a good advice, don't get me wrong. But because I was not happy, because I believed I deserved more, and I was asking them, just up it by 5 grand, for example. And even at 5 grand, I felt I was still, you know, underrating myself. And they were not willing to do that. So I kept on looking. As God would have it, I found a job. They were looking for somebody that had all my skills. They were willing to pay 30% more than what they were offering, those guys were offering. Now, why is this point important? Because if I had taken that job, I would have just closed the door to looking outside. I would have closed it and just focused on this company. And I benefited a lot more than salary from this new company that I worked in. So can't I can't overemphasize the importance of always checking. Don't stop checking. Even if you're in a job, don't stop checking. Don't stop looking. There's always something out there. Don't stop searching. It can be quite daunting. The other thing is, don't stop applying. Don't stop. Don't think that because you've made 2, 3, 4, 5 applications and the person specification kind of matches you, you think they're going to call you. Don't make that mistake. There's several applications going out there. Several. So keep on applying. I think there's a Bible passage that says, sow your seed in the morning. In the evening, don't let your hands be idle, for you know not which one will come back to you. So this is I really want to stress this. I really, really want to stress this to you. Don't stop searching. Don't stop searching. And don't stop throwing out your applications. Okay, next slide, please. Yeah, okay. So now you've gotten the job. You are in your job. You're in your company. You work in that company now. And bear in mind, it can be any role. It can be any single role. I can't also, I think I should also stress this. This, where we are, is a land of opportunities. Forget what people are saying out there. Trust me. Your story will be different. Lots of opportunities here. It may take a bit of time. It may not happen in the way you want it, but there are opportunities here. You might, let me start with a small figure of 2K, maybe any 2K, for example, and think this is fantastic. But you can actually earn, there are jobs that will pay you for what you're doing. You're earning 2K. For that same thing you're doing, they'll pay you 3K. Okay? So when you go into the workplace, have a growth mindset. Have a growth mindset. Go in with intention to learn. Be intentional about learning. Don't just go in it and blindly and walk. I've heard people say things like, me, my own are 9 to 5. Once 5 reach, or 4:50, or 4:55, I will just take my laptop, just lock on, just carry on, just go. Don't be like that. Go with an intention to learn. Go with an intention to soak up as much as you can. Now, one of the key things that makes this country and Western nations very successful as countries is they have systems and processes. Every organization has systems and processes. So when you go into a company and you're working there, be intentional about learning what the systems and processes are, what the legislation, what the legislative framework is. Be very, very intentional about learning those things. Learning specific skills. So I come back to the example at the beginning, working in a care home. I don't know if I mentioned this at the start of the talk. I have a friend I know someone who, he did his master's degree in engineering, but he was working in a care home. When he was done, when he rounded up his master's program, he went to the company and told them, listen, I have a master's degree in engineering. I think I can apply for the position of a care home manager. And they gave it to him. He became a manager in that company. Now, what is the thing about being a manager in a care home? Like I've said, there's a lot of money in the care. How many of you know that? There's money in that industry. If you can set up, if you understand the processes. So now, if I've done care work, I work as a manager, I'm starting to understand the systems here. How patients are managed. Sorry, not patients, how service users are managed. How service users residents are gotten into the care home. As a manager, I get to know the kind of money that comes in and goes out. I get to know the processes. I know someone who started as a care worker, and then I don't know what he's doing now, but years ago he rose to the position. He was now an auditor of homes, was an inspector auditing care homes. You're learning the systems and processes. That knowledge will return, or has a potential to return, wealth, position, and wealth. So whatever industry you're working in, don't just be fixated on delivering a task. Get core skills. Learn the processes and systems that are operational in that space. Okay. Next point is look out for learning, development, training opportunities. In this country, a lot of companies actually offer training and development opportunities. A lot. A friend of mine, I've known him from secondary school, he's an engineer. We're discussing in 2021. He works in an international company in UK. And he was telling me that I think I've not made a lot of progress as I would love to. And I think it's partly because of racism, what he was saying. I don't believe that at all. So I talked him out of it, and I said, listen, my friend, in your company, I know for a fact that there are training opportunities in that company. Have you ever put yourself forward? Because he wanted to go into leadership positions. I said, have you ever gone through a leadership course? I know for a fact that your company offers leadership courses. I don't know where all of us work here, but I know, for example, in the medical sector, there are leadership courses, opportunities. Tomorrow we come and we complain. They don't give us leadership positions. But have you taken advantage of the leadership courses that exist? So this friend of mine, this was middle of 2021. So he said, okay, I'll take your advice and I'll go and do this. He went, did some leadership courses. By the middle of 2022, he had risen to the position of associate director. As I'm talking to you right now, he has risen to the position of technical director. So I was making fun of him the other day. I said, how far? That thing you were saying 3 years ago. I say, my brother, we don't take, these opportunities exist. We just don't maximize them. That's the thing. So this ties into the first point. Learn the systems and processes. If you learn, you will know what is available. Now, in some small companies, they may not have training opportunities. Be proactive. Figure out, go and source one or two trainings that are relevant to that role, to that company. Go to your HR, go to your MD. See, I found a £20 course, a £50 course that I think will benefit us in this company and will improve our productivity. Chances are that person will look at this person as this is a leadership, this is a leader in the making. He has a lot of potential in that. So that's another thing. Okay, next point is look out for opportunities to put yourself forward. Very, very good point. I'll give you a story. One of the companies I was working in, the business development manager sent an email out, copied some of us and the directors and said, I've just come from a conference where I ran into a lecturer from a university who was inviting us to come and participate in a program in their university. They're trying to develop new modules for their students, and they thought our company should come in. So is there anyone who would like to offer themselves? And this was to our directors. So I saw the email, and I now, said, okay, this is up my street because I've worked in academia. Now I'm in industry. It's about developing a module in university. So I said, this is up my street. I'm happy to put myself forward for this. I'm happy to join the team that will be going for this. Right? 20 minutes later or 30 minutes later, I got an email from one of our directors, one of the top guys, a very hardened man. Well done. Thank you for doing that. Very good of you. Well done. I didn't think I had done anything special. But that's not where it ended. Our next team's meeting, my land manager is also a director. So he singled me out and said, thank you for representing our team and volunteering to do that. The CEO, his name is Mark, the CEO, he was so impressed. And funny enough, the CEO actually has some connections with that university. So he was very pleased that our company is going to be participating in that. They recognize these things. So look for opportunities to put yourself forward. It will pay out in some time. Yeah? Okay. Let me run through the rest. Build your professional network. I'll talk about that in the next slide. Consciously develop your communication skills. I've spoken a bit about that. Consciously develop or increase your social and emotional intelligence. That's something I didn't really talk about. Because of time, I won't really press on that one too much. But this is an area I think we need to also work on. Question here. Is the person, are they outside? Oh, no, yeah. Yeah. Okay, thank you. So like I was saying, social and emotional intelligence. This is a very, very big one for our people. Again, and you'll see the difference. Your children, as your children grow, you'll see there's a way they behave that is slightly different from the way we behave. Because they have picked up the environmental factors and consciousness. Because of time, I won't labor this too much, but I want to encourage us to go back home and do some research on social and emotional intelligence. How you interact with your colleagues, how you come across to your colleagues. Now, there are certain work environments you'll be at, where your colleagues don't really interact with you. They're not very, very friendly, or they are just quite introvertish. Don't let that derail you. Don't let that affect you. I'll give you an example. I don't know if this might not be the best example, but do you remember there's a football, Aston Villa, I think it was. There was a guy, I can't remember his name, an Italian footballer. Back, I think this was in the early 2000s. He was playing a game, yeah, and they kept on tackling him. You supposed to know this guy. They were tackling him. At the point he became angry. the referee wouldn't blow. So at a point, he sat down on the field. How many of you remember that? No, the Canu. The Canu, West Ham, sorry, thank you, West Ham. The Canu. He sat on the field because he was telling the coach, come and sub me. The coach said, I'm not subbing you. How many of you don't know that? He was I think in the early 2000s, he was a very good player. And his coach was Harry Redknapp. Redknapp didn't want to bench him. He now sat on the pitch. Redknapp refused to bench him. So later he stood up and kept on playing. Now when he sat down, the commentators were just, that is so unprofessional. That is so unprofessional. The commentators had been saying that, yes, they're tackling this guy, it's wrong, the referee should blow. But now he sat down, he was protesting. They were saying, that is so unprofessional. Because they expect you to have a certain level of, there's this behavior they expect from you. Where we come from, we will say, I beg, not true, Jare. Not true. Sit down for there. That's what we'll do. Am I wrong? You know? Or we will now try and pacify him. But no, they expect you to push through. And so eventually he stood up and played. And he even scored. I think he scored a goal in that game. Okay. I think he's now eventually scored a goal. And he became the hero. He turned the thing around. So the point is this. Don't let whatever situation you're going through stop you from being professional. You have a goal, you have a task, you have an assignment. Let that be at the back of your mind. Don't let other things that affect you in the workplace derail you, because you will be evaluated on that. And they will say this guy is resilient. That's a leadership skill. Okay. Next slide, please. The 70-20-10 theory. Now, in leadership, this is taught in leadership courses. They call it the 70-20-10 rule, the 70-20-10 principle. I don't call it a rule. I don't call it a principle. I call it a theory. I call it a theory because it's not based on robust science. But the gist of the principle is key. And what it says is this. It says that, so what they did was, they did some research. They looked at leaders in top performing organizations. And their finding was that 70% of these leaders, 70% of the time, their progression was due to experiential knowledge. 20% of the time, their progression was due to social learning, social network. And 10% of the time, it was due to qualifications. You would have thought it's the other way around. Right? But no. This brings me back to the point I made about that telephone call, that conversation with the recruiter who told me, get the experience, get into the workplace, get up to 3 to 4 years experience, and then you can get accelerated growth. And then you can get accelerated growth. Now, the point here is this. This actually drives in the point I've been making about skills, processes, systems. That's what experience really is about. Now, on the base level, when we talk about experience, what we mean is I've been working for 10 years here. When somebody says, I'm very experienced, I've been working for 10 years. That's what you think. No. Experience means that you have developed proficiency. And that proficiency at that task is measurable. So I normally hail that brother, Kolapo. I've heard him hit the strings. Is it strings they call it? The guitar strings, eh? He has done some chords. I'm like, wow. I know that the way he's touching it, he has developed proficiency. And so that's really what it means when we talk about experience. Experience means you have developed proficiency. You have, so for example, one of the things that I do, that I've done as a result of my job is I review technical reports. So I'm proficient at it. The way I will look at a technical report is not the way someone who is not skilled at it will. Someone else will spend 2 days reviewing a technical report. I will spend 2 hours, 3 hours reviewing that report. And I'll bill the client. So I'll probably have a senior consultant review the report. Then I'll do the final reviewing. The consultant will review it for, say, 2 days. I'll review it for 4 hours. I'll bill the client 1 week. I'm preparing a report. I already have my templates down. So I come to you and you're asking me to help you produce a report. Or you come to me and ask me to produce a technical report for you for whatever application you're doing. And this, whatever are the details I need to know about it. Now, I have 4, 5 people, clients coming to me and asking me to do the job for them. I'll tell them, okay, it'll take me 2 weeks to do this job. It'll take me 1 month to do this job. I already have my template set. I have the key information I need to put into that report. I ask my guys, go and do this, bring it to me. In 2 weeks' time, I could have finished that whole work. Those 4 different reports from 4 different clients. But I've built each of them for 1 month. I've developed, the time it will take you to do the job, I'm doing it in less time. That is what it means to be experienced. That's part of what it means to be experienced. So, experience, how do you develop experience? By working. That's why I said at the start, wherever you find yourself, even if it's only temporal, make sure you invest yourself there because it will come to pay. Learn the processes, learn the systems, take the skills that are available in that place. Any training opportunity, take it. So 70% of your development is really based on experience. Now, 20% is social, your social network. I don't agree with this percentage distribution. I think it's a lot more for social network than 20% personally. And I really want to hammer on the point of social network, particularly for our people of our community. In my experience, and correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think we are maximizing, we are harnessing the latent potential that exists in networking. I'll give you a story. So when I was in university, 2015, this young professor young guy, he was a doctor already. I rounded up my program in 2017. We used to talk together then. He finished his program in, I think, 2012. Worked in some other companies, universities, then came to the Moffat University. In my mind, he's one of my mates now. I just some few years. Yeah, I will soon round up my program. That's how I was thinking. Other guys who have been in our university, including somebody I know personally, who had been this person I know personally came in 2008 as a doctor and has been looking for promotion in that university. They didn't give him, in that faculty. They didn't give him. This young guy, came in 2015. We became friends. Because we used to take a course together. He told me, I asked him one time, how many publications do you have? He told me he had about over 50 publications. 50! 50! You know what 50 publications are? I thought he was lying. In 2017 or 2018, he was made an associate professor. Other people that have been at the university puzzling for reader, associate, they didn't give them. This guy that came, in a space of 3 years of coming to our university, gave him a professorship, associate. One of our brothers here knows him. Worked with me. My very good friend. Now, why am I telling you this story? How did he manage to get his 50 publications? That's where I'm getting to. So that you know the influence of network. Because we don't know how to do that thing among ourselves. How did he do that? In the research group, he studied at Imperial. In his research group, there were like 4, 5, 6 of them. Each person produced 4 publications. So I put other people's name on it. You use some contribution. 4 times 5. Continue spreading like that. Contact other people. And that's the power of networking. You make some slight contribution in that paper. And lo and behold, you are an author of a paper. Mentorship. How many of us know, apart from, yes, Christianity, yes, you know how to go and get mentoring. In your professional area, how many of you can be intentional about getting a mentor? Okay, you're too proud, you can't bring yourself before somebody. What about people at your own level? That in universities, we know how to do that. But once we leave, even at university, some of us, we fight with ourselves. We envy ourselves, we are jealous of ourselves. But a professional space is only when you have trouble. Fire on the mountain. Interact with your colleagues. And importantly, how about interacting with colleagues that are not of your own ethnic? Because we only know how to, once you see someone that looks like you are comfortable. How about being intentional about being friends? Building network with those people who are not of you. Because some of these people have the contact. One of the points I was making about communication, rapport building. Not rapport building. Small talk. Now, small talk is very important at interviews, but even at the workplace. But one of the things we don't have is we don't have the ingredients for small talk. Apart from the weather. How long does that last? 2 minutes, 1 minute. If you can expand it, 1, 2 minutes. That's the end. What do you do when you're not working, for example? So I've got colleagues that go horse riding. I don't go horse riding. I'm not for horse riding. So what will I discuss about horse riding? Okay, holidays. We went to this place. We went to that place. Football, for example, is something you can. At the interview or at the work. The point I'm making is this. As you interact more, you go out of your comfort zone, out of your ethnic zone, and you're trying to interact with other people. You learn more. So personally, I would place I'll make it higher than just 20%. There are certain roles. There are 2 roles I've got, 2 roles I potentially got as a result of network. Somebody knew me. And particularly at leadership level, you start getting referrals. In fact, referrals is a thing now. It's a thing now. You get money for referring someone else in companies. If I refer you now and you are successful at the interview stage. And if I talk to the person that is interviewing you and he's my friend, if you do well, you are likely to go in. So that social network is very, 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 very important. Formal learning is also important. I'm not dissing or underrating formal learning. So structured learning, going to class, getting degrees, getting certifications, they're very important. One of the slides I showed you some of my certifications as well, or my membership. So it's not something that I'm putting down. Okay, next slide, please. So, is this final? I think so. So essentially, the strategy for the workplace, in my opinion, for success in the workplace, I would look at things like having a growth mindset wherever you are. Have a growth mindset. Be intentional about learning. Don't leave that place without taking something out of that place. Learn skills. Learn about the skills, the systems, the processes, wherever you are. Don't just be satisfied with doing a task. That task you're doing, there's a system or process behind it. There's an industry code of practice behind it. Learn it. Understand it. Develop communication skills. Very crucial. Please, let's go home and let's be a lot more intentional about how we come across. Build your professional network. I've hit on that one already. And then finally, lateral movement versus vertical movement. Now, that's something for some of us to consider. I put that point there because I didn't take advantage of things like that. Well, until later in my career. So the example I gave you about in university, this I think university is a very, very good example for this. A lot of people who are able to progress to professorship, usually you have to, if you're very, very calculated, you have to be able to be prepared to move from one university to the other. Because if you stay in one university, chances are that you just may be in one place for a long time. Likewise, outside academia, in companies as well. You can actually, sometimes if you're in a, so it's not a straightforward thing. It's not like you should always do that. Okay, that's why I've said versus, lateral versus vertical. So by lateral, I mean moving outside of your company to be able to achieve vertical progression. So that's a strategy that you can actually adopt. You're in your company, be careful to see if there are opportunities there, if there are things you can actually take advantage of. One of the guys I used to call a mentor, he's not really a mentor, but someone who used to advise me years ago. He was in his company for years. His company for years. It was good for him, and he took advantage of some of the benefits that came. By the point, he was telling me, I've gotten everything that needs to be gotten in this place. It's time for me to move. Don't wait till if the opportunities outside, look for them. So this ties to the other point about keep on looking. Even if you're in a place, you're comfortable, you're happy, keep on looking. There just might be better opportunities there. And I think that's the last point. Is that correct? Next slide, please. Yep, okay. So thank you for that talk. I know I've taken a lot of time. Actually, I wanted to, I really, I tried to make sure that this talk captured the fine points I wanted to underline. But I've taken quite some time. I tried to compress it. As you can see, I was actually rushing through because there were other things I wanted to say. We didn't get to have as much interaction as I would have loved. But if there are any questions, please, I'm happy for us to discuss. Yes. Yes, please.
Very early because actually one of the things I've built myself over time. If you say let us meet by 8 o'clock, sometimes I might be there even 7 o'clock. So the lady that's supposed to attend to us, I didn't even know she was the one. She has come to the lobby. She saw me sat down, but there was a time allotted to me that my time is between 9:10 to probably 9:30. So when it's now 9:10, the lady that was given before me met me there. I didn't know she came for the interview. So when she came to pick the lady, she saw me sitting. So when it was my time, she now came. Oh, are you calling? I said, yeah. I saw you that time. I said, yes, I've been here since. I said, wow, that's nice. What's the name? I asked her name. So when we got to the interview, she now said, you've sent your CV. Can you see, tell us about yourself? I just smiled. I said, okay, fine. My name is this. I have been a lecturer back in Nigeria before coming down here, but I'm presently a PhD student at University of Leicester. And I said, wow. To cut the long story short, all the questions that was asked because I had enough experience about in clinical psychology, and the role they now asked for was not clinical psychology but health psychology. So all the questions they were asking, I answered it, but as a clinical psychologist. So after the whole thing, when they now got back to me after some weeks, the lady was like, "You did very well. If you don't mind, can I give you feedback?" I said, "Yeah, give me feedback." She now said, "Okay." Had it been as in we have a clinical psychology role right now, I will just give it to you straightforward because you did excellently well. And how did I know that? Because I asked for a feedback. So that one is on the other side. So, but that day, when I was going, I was so scared a bit because I think that was my first interview in UK. So, what I'm trying to say is this: when I've been looking for teaching role, that was the day I now went to Leicester College. As I was coming, the speech just said, "So you're a lecturer in university. You're now going to a high school. It's like you are bringing down yourself. Why can't you just go to your department? I just sent a mail to my HOD. I've never met him. Just said, can I book an appointment with the HOD? The secretary said, no, no problem. She gave me the email. Now sent a mail to the HOD that I would like to have a meeting with you. That I need a teaching role in the department. The guy said, no problem. He fixed me up. And I went to him. He said, in your CV you sent to me, you said you've been lecturing since 2015. I said, yes. He looked at me, he was surprised. I said, yes. I said, wow, but due to your hours restriction in hours, we won't be able to give you a full teaching. If you don't mind, can you start with just a little tea? I said, no problem, just I need something to keep body and soul together. That was the language I used for him. He now said, do you need it for a long time or a short time? I told him, no, I said, I need a short time. Then when I'm done with my program, then now we can sit and talk about it. So when I finished this session, the lady that was our line manager, she now sent me a mail that, oh, Kola, do you want to renew your contract? And I said, oh, unfortunately, I won't be able to renew because I'm moving out to Scotland. She said, oh, this is very, very sorry and very big for us to like bear. But no problem, please. Any assistance you immediately I just sent it to me that I want to apply for a fellowship under health under higher education academy. She said, I'm ready to support. So what am I saying this trying to say is this. I built a relationship with them. I won't say because I'm black, because if you look at we are like 15 uh, assistant teachers, as in they call it assistant teachers because we are taking what they call it. In Nigeria, there's no we give this teaching, not real teaching, but I'm trying to remember the name now. So that's what we normally take sometimes. So when they said you submit assignment, I submit my markings very fast. It was the last one I said, I never need the time as so, but I always try to submit everything in time. And if I believed they've she has like taken notice of this over time. When I was discussing with my supervisor that I'm moving to Scotland, it was when I even telling me now that okay, I'm trying to talk to a younger colleague in Aberdeen to see if he can get you a postdoc role with him. So we that we are still new, we like building that because we don't think that the way it was in Nigeria that you can't talk to your lecturer, you can't talk to your supervisor, is the way it is. I beg, follow them, talk. Just be free. Even if it's your line manager, talk to him or her. There are some information that you might not know, and they have. They will still give it to you. Thank you.
A key point, yes, a key point there is uh, having that interaction, that communication, right? That communication, that rapport. Talking to when I was talking, when I gave the talk, I talked about the science. So engaging with them, saying their names when you're talking to them, drawing their attention to yourself. All of that is very, very useful.
I just want to ask question regarding when you get a feedback like you are too experienced for this role. Where we look at your CV and we look at how you answer questions during the interview. We notice that your level is higher than this. Sorry, want to proceed. Then, coupled with the fact that you hear people say, "Oh, downgrade your CV. Don't put all the experience on the table. Don't put all the certification." And then have a LinkedIn profile. Are you going to have a multiple LinkedIn?
That's another
What do you
point I
want
was
to
going to make. Thank you for that question. So I would, if you actually want that role, if you want that position, I would downgrade. Downgrade is not the right word, but I will, adapt my CV accordingly. So the point I made, I don't know if you were here when I talked about the job spec. Were you there when I was talking about the job spec?
have number of years of experience.
Yeah,
And you left school so and so times. You've been on that job.
yeah.
That's answer the question.
No, so there are two things. You,
So-
you can be in a role and not progress in that role. You can be in a role and not progress in that role. So whether you've spent 10 years, in fact, it happens here a lot. There are people who, in my profession, for example, there are people who have been senior consultants for 20 years and they are just happy with being senior consultants. Some want to go higher, some want to be principal, some want to be associates. Some actually get to become associates in a space of 10 years. Okay? So the point I'm making is the length of years doesn't necessarily matter. And they know this. Okay? People make career choices for different reasons. Family issues, for example. Family circumstances. Okay? But onto the point about being overqualified, a lot of us will actually be in that situation. Some of us, because we've come a very heavy experience from Nigeria. But if you're going for a role that, as far as CV is concerned, you are heavier than, as far as the CV is concerned, then I would look for ways to adapt my CV. If you want that position, the key thing is to get into the system. Like I said in my story, the recruiter said, get the first 3 to 4 years experience, and then you can get your accelerated growth. So if that job you're going for is in your career path, so it aligns, it directly aligns with where you're coming from, your background, then, and you really want it, what I would say is, be careful how much you portray in your CV. When you get to the interview, you have the opportunity now to say, I've been experienced to this stage, but I don't have much experience in this environment. And so I'll be looking to gain some experience here. And I think this company is a company that there are opportunities to progress in time. And so I'm actually happy to take this position. So if you know already that your CV, based on the role, so I'll give you another example. You were not here when I said that. That friend of mine who actually applied for a job in 2015, that got a 40K thingy. His CV, he's been working since 2001. And he got the job in 2015. So 14 years experience. He's got 14 years experience. At the interview, he explained to them that most of this experience I've had is in Nigeria. Some of it is here. But now that I'm going fully into industry, I believe this environment will be the perfect environment for me to learn about this environment, the regulatory framework, the systems obtainable here, and then advance in my career. So it's possible, but if you know that you're applying for jobs for which you're already more experienced, and it's just a case of having worked in a different country, then I would, once I've been called to that interview, I will, go ahead of them and highlight why I'm interested in this role. If you are indeed interested in that role, because what they're really thinking about is, and I've actually seen this firsthand. I recruit you into the company, you come in, you work, 6 months later, you're leaving. I've trained you. Now I have to start all over again looking for your replacement because I'm a small company. So from the perspective of the business owner, I'm looking for candidates who are not likely to be a flight risk. So that's something you need to actually look at looking at. Any other question?
I'm just going to make an announcement and then just weigh in on that conversation a little bit from my own experience as well. The announcement is there's going to be a refreshment anytime soon, and then we start at 5:30. Perhaps we should aim to wrap things up in the next 25 minutes or so, if that's okay with everyone. Be out of here just so shortly before 7:30, as soon as we get the refreshments coming. That's a very important part of the evening. Don't want to miss out on that, but we're still expecting that, so bear with us. Just just to weigh in on that conversation as well, I mean, I had a similar experience where I just first came into the country, and I'm going to be specific because I think that's one of the things that we're trying to encourage that we do to help us find out about each other. So I'll just so in a few seconds, just say my role is I'm an emergency department doctor. So I trained in Nigeria as a doctor, and I came here after a lot of experience in doing obstetrics and gynae. So I was very experienced in obstetrics and gynae, and I wanted to come here and carry on doing that as a trainee. So when I came here, I was trying to apply for exactly that same position. But from the point of application, I didn't even get interviews because the AI just kicks you out from the point of the interview, from the response you give to an answer to the question. It's a simple question. It's a yes or no. How many years experience do you have in this field? If it's more than one, your application gets rejected straight away from the point of application. So there were two things that were allowing people not get interviews at all. The first one was, are you a British citizen? If the answer is yes, yeah, you carry on to the next stage. If the answer is no, it says, are you EU? And what visa do you have? So you get kicked out. So training post, no Nigerians were getting, we came into the country, we're talking, 15 years ago now. So that's changed significantly after the ruling and court laws and things like that. So the question was, are we going to lie as Christians and just lie? I've got only 1 year experience when I actually have 4.5. Are we going to then get caught out in the end? So I think the categorical answer is best not to lie, because eventually you would still have to then lay claim of that experience. And with digital footprints, like you've just mentioned, LinkedIn as well, and all of those things that can get you caught out. So professionally, if you tell a lie, that's actually a failure on the professional standards as well. Let alone talking about the fact that we are Christians as well. I think actually that should be the first thing. We are not expected to lie to get roles, and then what kind of life are we going to be living in that role when we've lied to get it? So what am I trying to say? There was nothing that could be done about that at that point in time. However, since then, legislation has then changed to say that you cannot discriminate people on the basis of their color, their race, their experience, their gender. So all of those things in recruitment, which I'm also part of, like Dr. Agogo mentioned, is we don't even see who you are. You don't know who you are, the personality of the person you are reading, their experiences on when we are recruiting for interviews now. All you see is what they say in terms of their experience. And sometimes people don't display the years of experience. They just say the content of their experience, and just in frustrates the fact of just the things that Dr. Agogo is saying. It's whatever you state that you learned in the course of your job that counts as your experience. So we see that 70, 20, 30. It talks about new and challenging experiences as experiences, not necessarily the number of years you spent on the job. So I could spend 12 years on the job, and my experiences could be, I learned about this, that, and all I can show is 4 skills. And if it matches this minimal role that you're describing, well, I've not done cesarean section, I've not done laparoscopy, I've not done all of this. I was just on labor ward all day for my 5 years. And then you can then say, oh, okay, this guy doesn't do laparoscopy. So you can start off that it's trainable, because he doesn't know anything. It's trainable. But the guy who's got 6 years of experience gets kicked out because it's not trainable. That was the concept they used then to kick people out, to say you're no longer trainable, you're not malleable, and then they didn't want you as part of the team. So what I'm trying to emphasize there is things have changed significantly. And I'll be surprised this day in 2024 if anyone, and people can show their hands if they actually experienced that, if anyone asks for a feedback and the answer you got was, it's because you were too experienced. Till now, in 2024, we have not taken you. It's because you are. Was that said to you? Or was that written? Written. Yeah. 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 To say you are so qualified for this job that we did not take you. You're too qualified for this job, or the role doesn't suit. There's a way they have to frame it. Overqualified for this job. So I think you've got it as well. Share your experiences.
So this is while so I'm a medical doctor, pediatrician here in Leicester area. I came here last year working as a pediatric doctor. While in Nigeria, most of our hospitals in Nigeria are not usually specialized. They are usually general hospitals. You take care of from most elderly person to the youngest person, and you deliver some babies. So while I was applying for jobs, I kept hammering on the fact that I've worked with highly specialized doctors, I've assisted surgeries, I've done irrespective of what I'm applying for, either pediatrics or stuff. I got better counsel, just like he said, to adapt your CV to the job specification, isn't it? So I did that. Then I kept saying how much. So when I'm applying for pediatric job, I will say I've been taking care of babies since so and days so. So by the time they add everything together, I say that the years were accumulating. So to myself, I was happy. Okay, this is experience, isn't it? That's what they want. But not, I was not aware of that fact that they don't want someone to experience for certain roles. So when I got here, that's when I understand that if you have more than 2 years of experience in pediatric, you cannot start training or come as an SHO or come as a certain thing. So I was realizing all these mistakes I was doing. I was happy these years were accumulating. And the truth is that while I was in NYSC, while I was in an internship, I was just taking those 3 months, 3 months, 4 months, just adding them together. Yeah. Now, so what I've learned is that when I want to make my CV again, what I'll just do is I'll just mention I've worked so years, worked in this place, and that's it. You don't need the specialty, you don't need what I've done. You don't need the nitty-gritty of what I've done with the children or with the labor ward or then of the stuff. When I'm applying for a pediatric role, I can mention the most important part of the pediatrics I've done, the lumbar puncture, the children you've taken care of and everything. But to just not tuning it down this time around, but just not mention unimportant details. That's what I've just learned. So the part of being qualified, overqualified, and everything now came to hunt even all my CV, and that's what I eventually had to do to get to this job I did. Yeah.
I sent my CV. Actually downgraded the CV the first instance.
Sorry, when you say downgraded, you took out certain details, yeah?
No, yes, and I changed the title because currently in Nigeria, I'm a CFO. I'm a finance person. I have over 20 years in finance, and I've done virtually everything in finance. Manage up to 150 finance staff. So, but this particular job, immediately I saw it, I was like, no, this is my job because it's actually telecom and fiber to the home, which is aligned with company that I was working with and everything. And I applied, so I changed. My wife is HR, so she changed all those things. Said lead finance person, remove all this CV, remove all this director, remove all this one. So we applied, and then I got it. In fact, they told me that out of the CV that they got, this is the only CV that aligned with the job in terms of technical experience, sector, everything. Then we interviewed, and I told them everything. I was even asking, they said they are PE-backed company. I said, okay, how many years of investment do you have here? When are you going to exit? And so and
Can
so
I
so
cut
thing.
you?
Yeah.
Sorry. So you see what I said? I said CV stage first, yeah? When you get to the interview, because I've just seen now from what you said that you shot yourself in the foot. You started asking questions that revealed your amount, your level of experience. And they, in fact, because the person who is managing you might be thinking, this person is a bit past me. Oh. Can I manage this person? Do you understand? So the issue now is one, do you want that role? Or do you want something else? The fact that they invited you, in my opinion, means there is a 50-50 thing. Okay, there's a possibility that we can actually work with this person. Okay, so you've stepped in. You step in now, and because of your experience, it's not difficult actually as you discuss with them, ascertain. In fact, you can even look up their backgrounds. Look them up on LinkedIn. See how much experience they have. It's possible that the person who was interviewing you is way down the cadre, you know. So what I would say is, given our situation, let's use that group word, our situation. If that's a role you want, they've invited you for the interview. You go in there, you give them, just give them answers, low level answers now, not high level, low level, or rather high level answers. Okay, just give them the answer they want. Get into the system. If they say, and what I will do, like I said initially, is tell them that, listen, I've had a bit of experience that's probably slightly beyond what is in the job spec. However, it's from a different environment. I'm new in this country, and so I'm really keen to learn the systems and processes over here. Some of them may be transferable, you carry them over. Some may not. And so this is where I come from, and I'm really keen to learn. So you're actually stressing the fact that because when they say you are overqualified, oftentimes what they mean is two things. No, it's not that. It's like I said, one, you are too big for me to manage you. That's one. Two, what are the chances you will stay? Yeah, flight risk. Those are the things. So if you can come in and assure them, the next one you get, you tell them ahead of time. Once you sit down, you start the conversation. So one of the things I used to do back then was, I sit at the interview and I say, listen, I'm going to be straight up and tell you that if you're looking for someone who's going to hit, okay, something like this. I've been on the other side of this kind of situation where I'm interviewing people, and I know that ideally, the ideal candidate will be someone who can hit the ground running. And I'll just add, hit the ground running with Usain Bolt-like speed. I can't promise you that I can do that. What I can assure you is that I'm committed to absorbing as fast as I can and making sure I can deliver. I'm a quick learner. I'm telling you. When I'm telling you I'm a quick learner, what I'm telling you is this. I might be asking some questions at the start of this whole thing. So you can do something like that as well. Listen, I've got a bit of experience. Don't say I've got a lot. I've got a bit of experience in this sector, but not in this country. Now that I'm here, I'm really keen to learn the processes and systems that are operational in this space. I'm really keen to learn. That's so. Those things about communication, verbal communication, the key words we use. I want to stress something here. Go and practice. Don't see. Pray. Prayer is good. I'm not saying don't pray. Practice. Pay a lot of attention to practicing. One of my friends, back then when applying for job, apply here, apply. He applied for a job. He went for several interviews. One of them, I don't know if you've had that experience before. After the interview, they start showing you, this is the office that the candidates will be in. These are the team members. Say hi. Go to the car park. This is the parking space for the successful candidate. So my friend, he went to me, was already, because the job was far away, so he was already looking at rent. Already looking for a house. My friend, another of our mutual friends said, but they never give you the work yet now. He said, no, they don't tell me. They don't show me everywhere. Show me the. So eventually, thank you for your application. Following several considerations, blah, 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 blah. Unfortunately, having gone through in his own case, to be fair, it was a bit of, I can imagine it was a difficult one for him because we were a set of friends that all left around the same time. All of us got our jobs in industry. He was the only one left. Eventually, he got his job and he's worked in different places now. When we look back and we laugh, one of the things he says is, when he was at interviews, before he used to think that they didn't like him. Okay, they used to think that because he was. So that's why, right? Now he's gotten a lot more experience. We sit down and he laughs. They will ask me a question. I'll answer. And sometimes, if it's a white person that is interviewing you, notice sometimes their face is looking like this. They will be not. I don't know if you'll be thinking, yeah. Some of them will be writing. You would think, So he was saying, I've learned now that a lot of things I was saying back then was rubbish. It was rubbish. I thought I was making sense, but I wasn't making sense. So, yeah, the point is, let us practice. Practice. There are lots of materials online, actually. You'll be surprised, you might even have a material online that is specific to your sector, specific to your career. Financial analyst, for example. Interview for a financial analyst. You can find it. You'll be surprised. There's so much. So I cannot overemphasize the importance of practice. Go online, but don't just practice to yourself, by yourself. Pick a friend, pick a partner. That's part of the networking thing I'm talking about. Pick a colleague, pick your partner, your wife, your husband, whatever. Your son, if he's old enough, somebody that can, what you need is practice. The value of, for example, when you give a talk, the reason why a lot of us are not very good at giving talks in terms of within a certain time is because we've not practiced it. If you actually intentionally practice, when you write your project, what is it? Chapter 1, introduction. Chapter 2, literature review. Chapter 3, methodology. Chapter 4, results discussion, or you have a separate chapter for discussion. Chapter 5, conclusion and recommendation. It could be more than that, but that's really structure. Thank you. That's the word. The structure. That is the word right there. Structure. Give structure to your presentation. So practice it. There's this thing they call the STAR approach. Situation, task, action, result. That's just one example. You ask the question, tell me about the time when you were in this. Tell me about the time when you did this. You use your STAR. That's the science of communication. But us, given where we come from and how we have been, I used to think, okay, so yeah, I thought I was waiting for something else. So yeah, essentially that's the, I hope we've learned. I have a question.
No question. And just contribution. I want to say thank you very much. I've learned one or two things. I want to say thank you for every single person that have contributed. One other thing I would like to mention to us is that we should be vocal. We should not get overwhelmed and make us to be timid, because these guys want vocal people. They don't want you to be timid. They are not irresponsible, and oftentimes we look at them because they are white, maybe because of the mindset we had from where we're coming from. That there is this preferential treatment. I found out that it's not true. Like where I work with DHL, and there was a time they were trying to harass me just because I challenged them. There was issue with my wages, so and I put it up to my manager, and I told him that I'm not pleased. That I noticed some the discrepancies and all of those around my wages. He now said no, that company is not owing me, blah blah blah, and I did a breakdown. That this is what I expected. I went for holiday at so time, this and all of the stories. So I wasn't pleased, but I was discreet with it. So my GM, he made mention to my GM. So my GM came to me and discussed with me and tried to open things up and let me really have a better understanding. Yet I was still not clear.
So I now found that because I challenged them, I found out that they were now digging things up against me. I was shocked the day they came to me and said that the record that they found that I tapped to go to washroom 3 times. And I was like, I started cracking my brain to remember exactly what happened. So oh, thanks goodness, I was able to defend that. And I told them the reason why I had to go to washroom because I wasn't feeling fine that day. And I had to get water to freshen up and all of those, to wash my face. So that when you say freshen up, not that I went to have my bath. So we now said, okay, that there's going to be a team to investigate that. Following week, they came to me again. They said they discovered that I use phone. That okay, one guy just called me and accused me that I was using phone because ideally you're not supposed to use phone during working hours except break and all of this. So of course you could look at your phone not as a make call and all of those. So but this was a pure accusation. So I was furious. So I now discussed with my brother and I said, no, it's not so that I should write to HR and let them know what I am going through. So I now put up a letter. I copied my manager, I write to HR. I wrote to HR and I told them that an orchestrated attempt to frustrate me in the workplace. So my GM came to me, was shocked, but I'm very sure they've never experienced such from a black guy. It was a lengthy, so I highlighted all the areas where I have experienced what shouldn't be. And I said, I come to work, earn a living to sustain my home. I expected this to be a sane environment. So they put up a panel. So before the panel, they asked me that I should tell them about my background. So I told them that that I'm industrialist. I study industrial relations and trade unionism. That's where I shot another trigger. So the guy now said, okay, that I should take it easy. I should not discuss with anybody. That am I part of a union in UK? I said, not yet. So now said, yeah, not yet. Because I was extremely careful with the word, my choice of word. So and he now said, okay, that I should calm down. I should not discuss this further with anybody. And they set up panel. The first panel we had were 3-men panel. They asked me that do I have a representative? And I said, for now, I don't need a representative. That we should go on. So with the first panel, second panel, fast forwarding to the third panel, a different date and time. So we're not getting to any conclusive paths on the matter. So I now asked that when is the next panel? They said they will communicate it to me. But prior to any of this panel, they will ask me that do I want to come up with a union representative? And I said maybe the next one. So to cut long story short, we ended it and they explained some things to me. They told me to talk to them more about myself. We built relationship over time. And after we concluded everything, they asked me if I'm happy that they should conclude the matter. And I said, fine, it's fine. That as a matter of fact, I've even forgotten about it, that we should move on. A month after, my GM walked up to me. He came to me, we talked, and he now said that he found that I'm a very smart guy, that he wants to recommend me for promotion. That am I ready for interview? And I said yes. And that was the beginning of good moments in my office. So what I want to just make clear to every one of us is that don't be timid. If you are not clear about anything, come out, discuss, talk with anybody, call them, tell them your terms. They won't chase you out of work because they know the implication. They won't chase you.
What I add to that is you have to use a lot of wisdom in your communication. One thing that is very important is this. So I talked about verbal communication. Written communication is also very important. Email correspondence. So the choice of word in verbal and email. Now, when it comes to email, this is where you've got to be. That's where wisdom comes in. What I suggest is this: don't ever send an email in anger. Don't respond emotionally. I've been in that situation several times. I'll give you an example. I was in a company where um, this lady, when I joined the company, I was environmental manager. There was someone she came in as health and safety manager. Our Both of us had the same line manager. He was HSQE lead. So I think the terms and the titles were actually part of the confusion. Anyways, to cut the story short, she was already in the company before myself, the health and safety manager. So when I joined the business, he was leaving. The one, my our line manager, he was leaving. She, because she knew the CEO, went to the CEO and was proposing that I report to her. Okay, I didn't like it. I felt, in fact, ordinarily you should be the one reporting to me as far as experience is concerned. But we are two different. We are really in two different spaces. Really, a lot of companies tend to merge health and safety and environment. Anyways, something happened, and I really, really had to beat myself to be very careful. What happened? A guy who was leaving the company at the time, he was an environmental scientist in the business. So what he used to do was he go out and take samples. He was like a technician, but more than a technician. So you have an environmental technician, a scientist, a manager, and he left. So some of the guys were looking for who will do what he normally does. So one of them came to me and I was like, no, that's not my role. That's for someone else. I don't know who advised him to send an email and copy everyone in the company. So he did that. Who's supposed to do this? Someone else immediately replied to everybody, to all, and said, I called my name, but I was supposed to do it. So I was very angry. Very angry. And I just replied immediately to him and said, I replied to all instead of replying to him and copying one or two or three other people. Like all. And I now responded, no. I told you, I didn't say anything brash, but I said, I told you already in the previous conversation, because you came to me. I told you already that this is not my role. It's for someone else. We are currently trying to recruit someone into that role. Then that lady who had asked to manage me now replied. She now copied 1, 2, 3, 4 people. And now spoke to that person and said, next time, don't send an email to everybody. Speak to your line manager or come to me. She demonstrated leadership. I beat myself. Because if I had calmed down, taken some time, I would have replied a bit more calmly. So don't be emotional. Don't. Other times, emails have come in. Like, one of the things I do in my current role is I represent the clients with the government, the EA, and I challenge the EA on certain issues. Several times when the EA has come back with responses, I said, this is rubbish. You clearly don't know your science here. And I want to reply. But I realize, okay, wait, calm down. And then when I calm down and then later on read the email again, I see, okay, there's a point here. Oh. Actually, there's a point here. Oh. Such and such framework already establishes this. Oh. Do you understand? So, Parabale. Is it Surulere? Calm down. Praise God. So I think in the absence of any other point, but just to round up quickly, because I'm mindful that in the absence of any other comments, just to round up, now, I really, really hope that this talk we've had today will encourage forums like this. I hope we've benefited a lot from this talk. But I really want to encourage us. See, there's latent potential that exists within this circle. You know, Dr. Joe was talking about, I want to pay someone to come here. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. But within ourselves, we can learn a lot from ourselves. So I want to encourage us to please let's try to push this men's forum. I started the story about how pastor was in one role. He's told the story several times. It was by virtue of this kind of forum that he learned he can actually upgrade, upskill. So please, let's make use of this. Yeah, 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 please. So the best I can do is put my CV, for example. But the problem is this. The problem is, and I've seen this happen sometimes. See, I've been beat on the finger several times. So, for example, I've given people, okay, this is my work. Take my work, go and learn from it. They just change the name and put it. Okay. So, to answer your question, I don't have a template like because if you were in my profession, then that's easy. Okay. What I would suggest is if I can send something to you that looks like, but the key thing is what makes your CV stand out apart from how you full house. Okay. The slide, yeah, it's with technical, so you can actually pick it up. Okay, put it on men's group. Yeah. Okay, I'll put it on the men's group. That's a good point. I could have actually just put it on the men's group already. So I can do that. Yes. I don't know if you find the slide itself. Oh yeah, okay. I will do that. Yeah. Yeah. So sorry. Yes. Yeah. Profession. Yeah. So thank you everyone and God bless you. Yeah.
So, thank you very much, Dr. Agogo. He's really emphasized the point of why this evening was designed this way. It's Dr. Agogo today telling us about his own experience and sharing with us from his own field. It can be any of us next time because, like, we know that within us here, there's a lot of experience here. So, Dickie Remo has said that this is something that we should probably be doing monthly, and that's actually the aim that we do it monthly without sort of losing the flavor of it. Because sometimes when something is done too often, people start to take it for granted. But if we all agree that it's something that we need, that we share often, like uh, KP has raised two important topics that we need to talk about. Maybe Dr. Agogo can come back and share in that regard. I'm learning something with artificial intelligence right now that can help do a lot as well. We can come and share that as well. Because when you talk about writing CVs, I don't write CVs myself anymore. I just do prompt engineering, and it works well for me. Because simple things like downloading the job spec of a job that you're going for, and then downloading your own CV and merging both, and asking artificial intelligence to extract things from your own CV that fit with the wordings and the precise wordings from that job, it's easier to do now, and it's as simple as just doing it on ChatGPT 4.0. I'm not recommending 3.5 because that confabulates. So I pay for things that are quality. So I use the 4.0 now. Well, we can come and share that one day. I'm doing talks on that in my sector, so I can come and share prompt engineering and the use of artificial intelligence in different sectors with us in one of those talks. Yeah, we can do that. We can do that. It works very well. So you won't even have to worry about using any template anymore. It's the world of templates for every single thing. And I'll be surprised if we're not already
using artificial intelligence for a lot of things as well, to be honest. So I'm doing a whole lot of personal research in that regard, and we can share that as well. And please, if you do have any topics as well that you can speak upon, I know again, Deacon Aremo has mentioned that entrepreneurship is one that we should not shy away from. I'm desperate to learn about that, as well as some of the things I know. Some people are desperate to learn about that, and that's the idea. Really, that's the idea. That sort of iron sharpening iron, like we've experienced today. So special thanks to Dr. Agogo. If you give him a hand, please, for sharing with us from his experience and allowing himself to be used for this Men's Week. If you have not received any refreshment, if you raise your hands, Prophet Ade would come to you and bless you physically, not virtually. So unfortunately, we don't have any virtual food like it's been done in the past. So we'll just close with a prayer, if that's okay. Is everyone happy? Are we okay? Does anyone want to say anything else that we should pay attention to? So I've got three things in writing. So one is we'll put the Dr. Agogo's talk in the group. I think we can do that straight away. The second thing is Dr. Agogo is going to come one of these days to talk about communication thing again, maybe expand more on communication. One of us here will prepare something and let me know what they want to speak on. We'll get someone to speak on entrepreneurship. I would look into coming one day to tell us about artificial intelligence, particularly the use of large language models to learn prompt engineering for every single thing, even for preparation for interviews as well. Actually, I'm desperate to talk about that because it makes life easy. It's made my life terribly easy because I'm thinking some things in my head I can't put into words, and this thing just brings it out. I'm like, that's what I'm trying to say, bro. It's not a brother, but he's becoming a personal assistant to me. Shall we pray? Father, we give you thanks. Lord, we give you praise. We are particularly grateful to you for the way in which you've coordinated the evening in a way that none of us planned it or designed it. We can put programs together, we can be present and making ourselves available. But ultimately, you, Lord, are our keeper. You are our Father, even in this preparation for Father's Day. You're the one that looks out for us. You inspire us in the ways in which we can never imagine. And so for this, we are grateful to you. Father, we say be exalted forever in the name of Jesus. We want to pray for our brother, Dr. Agogo, who's been used this evening to bless us from his experience, sharing some of his experience. We ask that you replenish him in areas, Lord Jesus Christ, where he's desperate also for replenishment in the name of Jesus Christ. You know his wishes, you know his desires and the things he has in his heart to share with you. At this moment, we ask the Lord Jesus Christ that you bless him as a gift for being used tonight, and that blessing will be his portion tonight. We believe so in the name of Jesus Christ. For as many of us who have also contributed, and not just contributed, have made ourselves available to make this program worthwhile just by being present, we pray that a special blessing will be given unto us as well in the name of Jesus Christ. We want to ask in the name of Jesus as well that these words and the things that have been spoken tonight will be used and multiplied and blessed beyond the blessing that we have will be beyond the words that has been spoken, for it shall materialize itself into productivity and performance in the life of men of Green Pastures Parish in the name of Jesus Christ. We want to hear that as a result of these testimonies will come, that people will stand on this platform and say, oh, after that day, I did this and this, and this is my testimony. And it won't then be glory being given to the talk or to the forum or to the men's weekend, but all glory will be ascribed to you, O Lord, our God, our Redeemer, in the name of Jesus Christ. We thank you because you've heard us. So many things we want to pray for and ask for, but we know that your Spirit prays for us with far more intercessions than we can utter. We just ask that your blessing will go with us as we go this day, in the name of the Father, in the name of the Son, and in the name of the Holy Spirit. For in Jesus' mighty name we have prayed. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow us all the days of our lives, and we shall dwell in the house of the Lord forever and ever. Amen. Amen. Just two announcements, really. It was not in the men's group and the men's WhatsApp. How do you start in the men's WhatsApp group? Because in the men's WhatsApp group, there is the YouTube video of the song we are singing tomorrow. So please go and learn it tonight. If you want to play it on repeat, so that you can learn it. And then tomorrow we are back here for Father's Day. We were dressed officially because any of us can be called upon to get on stage. Or you're officially, you're instrumentalist. Oh, yeah, okay. Officially, it's official. As official as if you're bada or anything, or or suit or so semi-formal. Yeah, anything you want. Celebratory is what I mean. Yeah, yeah, it's a celebration. Thank you very much, everyone.